The following broadcast is brought to you by the iGolf Sports Network.
Golf Talk Live is sponsored by the iGolf Sports Network and Golf Tips Magazine. Here's Andrew to tell you more about our sponsors.
iGolf Sports is a live stream broadcast and media production company providing quality programming designed to attract the golfing enthusiast. And Golf Tips, the game's most in-depth instruction magazine, including reviews on the latest equipment, tips from top teaching professionals, all designed to help you improve from tee to green. Welcome to Golf Talk Live with your host, Ted Odorico. Join Ted each week as he speaks with some of the best in golf. This week's special guest will join us a bit later. But first up is another great discussion on Coach's Corner. So let's introduce tonight's Coach's Corner panel.
Welcome back, everybody, and I'm excited to be back on the show. And tonight's featured guests, I'm going to introduce them here in just a moment. But don't forget to remember to go to our YouTube channel, iGolf Sports, and subscribe while you're there. All of the previously aired shows, including tonight's, will be there, and you can check them out at any time. There's lots of good stuff there. I think there's close to almost 1,000 videos now of past shows going back 13 years for Golf Talk Live. So I'm really excited about that. And you can also catch the other show that we do Tuesday mornings called The Women of Golf are also on the platform as well. And then also don't forget to join our membership website, golftipsmag.com. That's golftipsmag.com. We got 3 great membership opportunities, silver, gold, and platinum, and get insight to some great instructional information, and as well as many of our sponsor and premium partner discounts available to our premium members. So make sure you go and do that. Go to golftipsmag.com. All right, I'm going to very excited to have these 2 gentlemen join me tonight. Let me introduce them, and then we'll get into tonight's discussion. First up, of course, is Josh Lesnick. He is the Chief Commercial Officer for Magellan Jets, and he has been there since 2023, overseeing all sales and marketing, customer loyalty rewards, and partnership initiatives. With over 30 years of luxury hospitality experience, he previously served as president of Collective Retreats and experiential outdoor hospitality company. And he was also the CEO of Associated Luxury Hotels, Chief Marketing and Revenue Officer of Wyndham Hotels, and many other things. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Also joining the show is Steve Ciancio. He is the Senior Vice President of Magellan Jets, and he is also a seasoned expert in the development and delivery of private aviation experiences and coordinates trips for a number of Magellan's top professional athletes, musicians, and corporate accounts, and has personally managed the private aviation logistics for hundreds of exclusive golf getaways around the world. So, gentlemen, Steve and Josh, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us, Ted. Thank you.
All right, appreciate it. So, I always start off with my guests just to get a little bit of background, more other than obviously business experience on 2 of you. Obviously, I'm assuming both of you play golf at some point. Talk a little bit. Josh, I'm going to let you go first, and then Steve. Just talk about your first earliest memories of coming to this game. What was it about golf that drew you in?
Sure. I picked it up actually after college. I was working at a resort called the Sagamore in Lake George. It's got a great Donald Ross course, and I was actually running the club grill at the golf course. And I remember after work and before work, I would go into the driving range and start to hit balls, and just kind of learned on a great Donald Ross course. And it was immediately a passion and something I've loved and play avidly ever since. And I would say, it's kind of over the years after graduating college, there's a group of us that get together every year. There's about 20 to 30 of us, and we have a polyester green jacket. We've played most of the major courses around the country, around the world. It's just become a great, not only sport and passion that I have, but a great way to stay connected with friends, close friends.
I couldn't agree more. Well said. And Steve, what about you? What's your earliest recollection and memory of how you got introduced to the game?
Yeah, I grew up in Westchester, New York, and when I was about 16 years old, I moved to South Florida. I lived in Boca Raton for about 15 years. I never played when I was in New York. I just never had the opportunity to, and just wasn't something that my family did. I moved to South Florida, and when I was in high school, one of my classmates was a caddy master, or worked in one of the shacks at one of the municipal courses in Boca, and we had that inside track. We would show up after school, 5, 6 o'clock, we'd throw them $10, and we'd get on the course. And that was really my introduction to golf, and it happened to be on a nice little course in Boca. And ever since then, I started to love golf, and my brother and my dad, we really started to come together as a family and play. And now still to this day, weekends, down in Florida, or they're coming here back to Boston, we get together and play golf as a family. So not when I was really young, I never played. And so I've been about a 15-year player and started progressively playing more and more as I started getting older.
Yeah, it's interesting that neither one of you really had early roots in playing the game as a lot of people do. I mean, I started when my dad took me out officially when I was about 7 years old, and got introduced to the game. And obviously, you've played, and I've been teaching golf now for over 32 years. And this is sort of my side gig, if you will, is doing the podcast. But it's always interesting. I like to just find out how people first came to the game. And I'm going to go in reverse order. I'm going to start with you this time, Steve. Just carrying on golf for a second, then we're going to get into to talk about Magellan. But what do you think is I guess, two areas of the game, one that you didn't know when it comes to playing? Obviously, it's a difficult and challenging game, as both of you, I think, can probably attest to, as we all can. But what is it that you, once you got it playing a little bit more, that you didn't know about the game, on how it's played, and what was the most challenging part for you?
The mental aspect of it. And I belong to a club now here in Massachusetts, Marshfield Country Club. It's a beautiful private club here on the South Shore. And I always enjoyed, back when I was in South Florida, or even before I joined this club, it was fun. A couple of drinks on the course, camaraderie with the guys. Now it's competition. And you're grinding on every hole from the first tee box to the last shot on the 18. So for me, it was just how mental the game really is, and how long that 4-hour round really is, and having a short memory, ready for that next shot or that next hole, and it keeps you coming back. That 18th hole, that last putt, you make it, it makes you want to come back the next week or the next round. So it was really, for me, how difficult and mental the game really is.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think a lot of people, spend so much time focusing on hitting the golf ball, and they forget about how to play the game, and it takes a lot of mental acumen to be able to do that. What about you, Josh? What was some of the most challenging aspects of the game? Do you agree a lot with Steve that it was one of those things that you just didn't realize it was going to be as challenging until you really got into it? And what was some of your earliest memories of playing?
I mean, it's interesting. So when I started playing, I would just hit a lot of 3 irons, 4 irons, 5 irons, 6 irons, because it was kind of a shorter practice driving range. So to this day, those are some of my strongest clubs, because I would just hit so many balls with them. But the curse of me is my long fairway bunker shots.
Yeah.
Just and I actually got a tip from Patrick Reed. We were playing a pro-am last year. And I stood in the trap, and I kind of hit the typical amateur shot, 30 yards out of the trap when I was trying to go 150. And he walks up to me shaking his head. He gave me a little tip, my Patrick Reed tip. And since that point, I've been able to get out of there a lot better. But it's really, I would say, I'd agree with Steve. It's kind of managing myself around the course. I always know I should lay up, but kind of always go for it. And generally does not work out as well as I'd hoped it would.
Well, that's as they say, par for the course, and
Yeah.
I guess it's just the way it is. So let's talk about Magellan then. So I'm going to give you, Josh, a few moments, if you wouldn't mind, just to talk about, give us a little insight into who you guys are and what it is specifically that you do, and then we'll unpack with specifics. But if you can just kind of give us an overview of Magellan, give us an idea for the listeners.
Sure. Magellan Jets is a private aviation company. We provide 3 main services: point-to-point charter trips, and Steve will talk a little bit about this, where a group of guys or a group of women want to go and play around the golf. So they start at point A, go to point B, and then they return. We also sell a jet card program that gives you a number of benefits: fixed pricing, guaranteed mechanical replacements, so guaranteed availability, 365. So that's our second product. And then we also sell a fractional program for people that want to have a ownership share in a plane. The company is 17 years old. We are based right outside of Boston, privately held business, great little financially stable business. We like to say we're a boutique firm, even though we're the 5th largest private aviation firm. We do everything in a very customized, bespoke way, a very exclusive way. when you join our company as a customer, you get signed someone like Steve, and he kind of makes sure that everything you need, along with our guest experience team, is catered to and taken care of. Yeah, we flew. It's really interesting. I was kind of looking back to our records. We've probably done over 5,000 golf trips, recreational amateur
Wow.
golf trips. And last year we flew 10% of the Masters field to the Masters of players. So we do both, high net worth individuals who want to take a golf trip, and some of these places are extreme. So we've pretty much flown someone to wherever you can play around the golf. But we also fly the pros around to a number of the tournaments.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about how you guys really have become integrated in with the professional golfers as well, and other obviously sports professionals. But Steve, let's talk about, Josh brought up a point really where, there's a lot of people now, maybe a group just wants to go somewhere. Maybe, I want to take a group. We want to go out and play Pebble Beach and maybe some other areas out in the coast and that. So if I wanted to do that, again, I don't necessarily have to become a fractional owner of the aircraft. I can just, so walk us through. I mean, obviously you don't have to give us all the details, but generally, if I want to do that, what's sort of the procedure that goes from there, and how do we go about doing that?
About 2 hours ago, I sent a video. I have some friends at Old Head right now, took a helicopter tour. So I sent it to my local course buddy group chat earlier. And I immediately got some text back. Hey, Steve, how much would it cost? Or what do we need to do to get some guys to go from here down to Naples later in the winter? So it's as simple as that. Our customers can reach out to any of the advisors on the team to do an analysis of the trip. How many passengers? When are we looking to go? What are some of the destinations? And then we start to determine or create the best experience possible with a budget in mind, with an experience in mind. Do we want to go over the top? Is this kind of basic? What's the turnaround on this? And then really create a customized and bespoke kind of solution for them, because it can get very expensive, or we
Sure.
can kind of tone it down to something a little bit more simple. A turboprop on a short trip, a global 6,500 on a, intercontinental, 4 foursomes trip over to, to Europe or something like that. So what we want to do is analyze the trip and then create something custom. And we start looking at hourly rates and making sure that people are familiar with the pricing, because that is it's one of the first kind of layers here. Steve, what are we talking? And then we can go into some of the rates anywhere from $5, $6, $7, $15,000 an hour, right? We're scaling all
Right.
the way up, and how far we actually need to go. And something that's interesting is, how many bags can we fit? How many guys are we bringing? What's the flight time? Do we need a fuel stop? So there's a lot of factors that come into play, but you
Sure.
reach out to one of the aviation consultants. We're all fully trained in how to analyze something like this and to build out a customized solution.
So,
Go ahead.
sorry, go ahead, finish your thought, and then I just wanted to follow up.
No, and then the way that you can reach us would be, on our website. We have some great forms. Our marketing team does an amazing job with sending out content with ideas, experiences, featured member events that we have to kind of get your mind around what the expectations of the mission are, so then we can help kind of put it together for you.
What I was going to ask you is just going sort of piggybacking off of a longer flight, like say if you were going to Scotland, you want to play the old course and maybe, some others in the area, and you've got a foursome. Obviously, you're going to require a larger craft to be able to go that distance. So, and I know they can obviously house more than 4 people.
Yeah.
So do you try to, how does it work? Do you piggyback other groups that want to go around the same time? How does that work? If you've got, if I want to bring a foursome and say, okay, next, this spring we want to go to Scotland, we want to play this, and this, and the time frame we're going to go. And obviously, as you said, it's a longer range travel.
Yeah.
How does that work? How do you, parcel that out so that, you're making the most of that?
Great question. I'm doing it right now. I have a trip in progress right now. They're actively there. So we went from Virginia, made a pit stop in here in Hyannis, picked up 1 extra passenger, and then went over to Shannon, Ireland. Right?
Wow.
They've been there. They're playing multiple courses. They've been
Sure.
there for over a week. They come home on Monday, and they called me and said, "Hey, Steve, we don't want to fly out of Shannon. We want to fly home from Cary." So now we changed the plane. Now they're coming home from Cary. We had to figure out customs and everything, but it worked out fine. And we're sending them home on Monday. And we identified a couple different aircraft for them to choose from.
Okay, great.
Size, age of the aircraft, different layout that these guys typically like, and I've been flying them for years now, so I kind of know. Some guys like more of a club seating, right? They want more of a front, rear, club, bench seating, galley in the front, flight attendant type of product. Or there's something like a Falcon 2000, another type of aircraft, 10 individual captain's chairs. Somebody might want that if maybe they're not too close of a group. So we're going to identify the right aircraft for the mission, but we're going to present to you 2, 3, 4 different planes.
Okay,
so
great.
that we can talk through them together. Pictures, specs, details, Wi-Fi, catering, all the above. So we'll review them together, all different price points, and then we'll choose one. We'll procure that aircraft in terms of safety, crew, performance, runway performance, duration of the flight, make sure everything's perfect, secure that aircraft, and then follow up with itineraries and all the above.
Something interesting you mentioned, Ted, about people wanting to play different courses. We're going to launch later this fall like a whole custom golf experience where we can also coordinate all the ground, the tee times. So we're aligning with a strategic partner that'll be able to help our customers. We'll fly them there, we'll coordinate the ground stuff, but they'll be able to get them on the courses and then some of the unique hotels and other related.
So you're actually going to bring in pretty much like a concierge service, in addition to
kind of piece together all those logistics, and it's a lot of work. I'm sure you've planned a lot of golf trips with groups. It's like kind of coordinating everyone and getting the right tee times and making sure you can get from one place to the other. Certainly flying private makes that a lot easier because you can kind of leave on your own schedule, but
right.
Still a lot of logistics, and our goal is to give you as much service and coordination around that as you need, all the way up to every detail of the trip.
And Ted, a lot of the aircraft that you're flying overseas, especially over to Europe, they really seat at a really minimum 12 passengers.
Right.
So we can get 3 groups over there, which really makes it cost effective. We break down.
Right. That's what I was getting at.
That number, divided by 12 or 8 or 16. Now it's effective, and it makes sense.
Well, and this, Josh, this becomes a real game changer for a lot of people because, as you guys know, flying commercial right now, and I don't care where you are in the United States, if I can be so bold, kind of sucks. It really does. It's just not a pleasurable experience. There's long waits in the airport. Lost luggage, all of this kind of stuff. Yeah. And there's also, and this is the point I'm getting to with you, is there's been here of late a lot of safety concerns. We've seen a lot of issues happen. And I mean, Lord knows that things can happen regardless, but you guys really put a safety first. It's a mandate with you guys. We want to touch on that a little bit, Josh, if you don't mind, and the importance of that, because again, in this day and age, it's not just getting to and from your destination. It's the experience, but it's also, I want to know that I'm on a situation where a flight that's it's gone through the proper checks. Absolutely. And it's going to get me there and back in a timely fashion and safely. So
we're a safety first culture. I mean, everything we do. For every single flight that Steve coordinates or books, we do a very closely vetted review of the aircraft, of the pilot's credentials, the number of hours flown actually on the aircraft. And then we do a 42-point checklist on every single leg of that flight. So it is, and if we find something that we're not comfortable with, we will not fly that plane. We will tell the customers we're going to get
them something else.
Plane, but we, under no circumstances we do that. Safety first. Oh, Steve, if you have.
Yeah, I do. Great. So we have a really high rating in terms of safety. It's a third-party auditing firm that we're licensed by, and we have a certificate of. It's called Wyvern Wingman Rating, and we hold that really, really close to our hearts because it's very difficult to obtain. There's a full SMS an on-site physical audit of our facilities, monthly check-ins with our safety team. But we work with two of the leading third-party safety auditing firms. We got Argus and Wyvern. Um, our chairman sits actually on the board of the Air Charter Safety Foundation. So we have just an extreme safety culture here. A lot of our flight operations team, they're all FAA certificated pilots, flight dispatchers, um, private pilots, and just it's really special. And what's great about it is that I don't dispatch these aircraft, right?
Right.
I like to consult. I like to talk through the experiences, explain the different aircraft. Once we're done with that, it gets right over to the flight operations team. So I like to talk about it and we can preach safety, but let's get it in the hands of the professional, reviewing
Right.
weather, um, NOTAMs, flight restrictions, VIP flight, temporary flight restrictions, um, all the runway factors, performance, winds, headwinds, and there's been extreme weather over the
Sure.
past several years. It's getting really out of control. We're looking sometimes at heavy jet that have a range of some of them with 6, 7, 8 hours of range, having to stop on a flight going from Charlotte to California, right? With a
Wow.
150-mile-an-hour headwind, it's really difficult. So when it comes to safety, it's super important. And I like to say that we're never going to sacrifice safety for convenience. And
Yeah.
it's a really important message, and our customers really love to hear it. And most of the time, say, Steve, you know what? We have time. Just let us know when it's safe to fly. We'll send you back home if it's not. We'll let you know when the aircraft is ready and in position, when the crew's checked everything out. And ATC has allowed us to depart or put us in a holding pattern or whatever the case is. So the convenience and safety really goes hand in hand. It's really important.
I think one of the other benefits of flying private too is our flight support, flight operations group monitors weather constantly.
Hmm.
If we know we have a flight leaving from Boston going to California to play golf and we see a weather front coming in, we'll kind of work around the logistics, get the aircraft positioned earlier and get the people out earlier, which is you couldn't really do on a commercial flight, but
Yeah.
you
Right.
have that flexibility to really kind of make those kind of changes, both for safety and convenience. So
Yeah, and that's important. I want to point that out because I really want the audience to understand and appreciate this, because when you fly your typical commercial, I mean, a lot of times you get to the airport, weather patterns can come up and that, and I mean, it can happen anywhere really, but a lot of times you don't get notifications. I mean, I've flown commercial for years, and a lot of times you get to the airport and all of a sudden, ding, you get a text message and saying the flight's been canceled. It may go up in 2 hours, it may not, or maybe it's overnight, and I know that can happen with anywhere. But it's good that you guys are closely monitoring that because, again, as you pointed out, Steve, is from a customer's perspective, we can go out and play. Excuse me, we can go out and play golf, anytime. So if we have to delay it because of weather, that's a bigger concern for us is not getting wheels up and then getting out somewhere and getting into a bad weather pattern. So it's nice that you guys go that extra step to make sure safety first. So, Josh, I'm going to come back to you if we can real quick and get you to talk about, as I mentioned a little bit ago, sort of the tie-in between you guys, Magellan Jets, and into golf. How'd you guys get into golf? I know you're involved with other sports, big guys as well, but how did golf and you guys sort of come together? And what are some of the commonalities between golfers and flying privately?
yeah, so we've done all the market research and the customer service.
Mhm.
50% of our flyers are avid golfers, have a strong
Yeah.
affinity for golf. And, we've, since the day we launched 17 years ago, we've been doing golf trips and golf related experiences. And we've been flying PGA pros as well for over 10 years, a variety of different players. So what I think the natural tie-in is convenience, as you've talked about. You're moving a lot of clubs, making sure you get there on time, getting into difficult courses, Bandon Dunes, Cabot, some of these places, which are just incredible golf destinations, are hard to get to. You could spend
Yeah.
a day on a train, plane, and automobile getting there. So
Yeah.
private aviation allows you to come like right in really close to your destination. You even think about it, Ted, you play Bandon Dunes in the morning, fly out to Pebble Beach, the next day fly down to Cabo, and you could do all that on a private jet. You'd never be able to do an experience like that on commercial.
And the other thing too, Steve, maybe you can touch on a little bit too, is I think people, when they, and you've sort of alluded to this a little bit, when first people think of, okay, private jets, are thinking, okay, well, this is, the Michael Jordans and the, Scotty Schefflers and all these guys now, but really it's not like that anymore. I mean, at one time, yeah, private jets was for, corporate CEOs and, the very well-to-do, but it's changed. That business model has changed, and the market has really opened. Maybe you could touch a little bit about that.
There's an amazing marketplace of aircraft that no one really knows about, and it's our business model. It's what we specialize in. There are thousands of private aircraft readily available through Magellan Jets that are waiting for people to fly on them.
Mhm.
And there's a price point associated with them that come in different factors, and I'll explain the industry for a second. There's hundreds of aircraft that don't have a home base. They
Right.
fly point to point to point to point all across the country, and they never go home. Therefore, we can do point to point travel and never have to pay for that extra dead head or that empty leg, because the aircraft doesn't need to. Once we pick you up in Cincinnati, Ohio, and drop you off in Denver, like, that aircraft's not going back to Cincinnati. It's
Right.
staying there for the next mission. On the other side of it, there's those local operators, some of our vendors and our preferred network of aircraft in which we utilize, and the Magellan Jets preferred network, in which they do have a home base, and those aircraft are going to come back home. So maybe we're going to use that local provider when we're doing a road show for our corporate travelers. We just had an IPO road show a couple of weeks ago that was multiple stops over one day. And guess what? They needed to come back to Washington, D.C. that day. So
Right.
we identified that aircraft to find the best positioned aircraft to minimize any of the repositioning necessary to keep that cost down. Right. So when it comes to being somewhat affordable or economical, we can really break down this price per person as we're loading up the flight, right? 8 guys on a flight, 12 guys on a flight to California, Colorado, or to Florida. Dividing that cost, it makes it more affordable. Now, these planes are not operating at $1,000 an hour, right? They are still going to be $5, $6, $8, $10,000 per hour. And so that comes into a factor when we determine are we going to go to Scottsdale, right, from the East Coast, or are we going to head down to Miami, or are we going to go to the Bahamas, to Marsh Harbor, or Abacos, or Teeth of the Dog? We're going to go to the Caribbean instead of going to the West Coast. So flight duration is really important, and then how many passengers on the aircraft are important to determine the cost valuation with that. But we're happy to run pricing for anybody. Obviously, that price point is going to be there, and there's a lot of white papers that we publish, and there's a lot of information on the internet about the hourly rates associated with them. And we're always happy to take a call. I love doing it. I do it all day long for the past 11 years, and provide pricing and just consult towards some of these experiences that not only golfers, but business professionals, corporate travelers, recreational flyers, someone trying to fly an elderly person to visit mom or son or whomever, to visit them, flying someone with a back injury. I flew someone last week from Bozeman to New York with a back injury. Mom needed to get home and she couldn't lay down on a commercial plane. And we dispatched an aircraft in about 2 hours notice from Bozeman to New York, and we saved the day. So there's a whole marketplace of aircraft readily available to Magellan Jets, so that we can identify what's positioned best to keep that rate down, to make it more affordable for the consumer.
Yeah. And it's all about accessibility too. And it sounds like that's what you guys are doing. Josh, go ahead. I'm sorry, you were going to
say one of the really neat things about flying private, because I've flown with this company and with prior events on private, is you don't even need like a golf carry bag. You just literally take your clubs, pull your car up, put your clubs on the plane, and you're off. So just, you were asking about what appeals and what aligns with our customer base. Just all those conveniences and simplicity, and taking out the stress of like, are my clubs? I've gone on a guy's golf trip and the clubs don't show up, and
right.
you've been geared up for this thing for 2 months, and you're playing on rentals the first day.
Yeah.
The outfit you just bought in the pro shop. So, flying private really, takes away a lot of those stresses and really makes it a really personalized, convenient experience.
Talk about your connection with some of the folks on the PGA Tour as an
Sure,
example. I know you have others as well, but obviously you have some that have become ambassadors now.
sure.
Um, but they rely, and this is kind of interesting. I mean, I'm sure you guys have had this happen, and Steve, you sort of alluded to it on such short notice. I'm sure there's some of the players who have maybe won
Yep.
and then want to fly back home the very, that night. They don't want to wait, to the morning. And that does that happen quite a bit? Do you think? And either one wants to answer that. That's fine.
We had an experience. There was a customer, a professional golfer who won a major. We don't talk about our customers that are
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
part of flying private is a lot of discretion and privacy, obviously. But we had a major champion that his provider could not get him out of the event, and he had to be in New York for Good Morning America show. And so he called one of our guys who was able to get him a last minute plane and was sitting there waiting for him at the airport when he arrived on the other side. And that's
Wow.
the kind of stuff our guys do all the time, both with golfers and both with our amateur golfers that travel and our executive CEOs that travel. So kind of, again, that really personalized, caring experience to make sure they get to where they need to get to. We have like Will Zalatoris is an ambassador, great player. He's recovering from his injury, and he, like
Yeah.
many of these golfers, they're contractors essentially, and they don't know whether they're leaving on a Friday or a Sunday. And there's a funny story I was telling Steve earlier today. When I was with Wyndham, we did work on the Wyndham Championship, which is actually going on this week. And I'll
Right.
forget, it was a Friday, and it was a kind of a mid-level player in terms of earnings. And I was walking down the hallway to my hotel on a Friday afternoon after the event, after the tournament, and I heard this clicking behind me, and like it stopped, and I kind of peeked around, and I heard his door click open, and his wife say, the kids screaming in the background, "Are we staying?" And he was like, "Nope, we're going." And we get that a lot of the times, and that's where guys like Steve really earn their medal, because some of these players will call us when they're walking off the course, or like that, I didn't make the cut, can you please get me out of here? And Steve will go out of his way to change the arrangements, get people out of there, maybe puts a bottle of tequila on the plane to kind of ease things up. But we do all these kind of little touches, but it's really important. We see the great side of playing golf for these guys, which is winning in tournaments. There's also a tough side to it. They're human beings.
Oh yeah.
Having a real human touch on that and really being gracious and appropriate in that moment is really important.
Well, and a lot of these guys too, and gals that play on the tours, I mean,
It's hard.
they're under a lot of pressure. Sometimes they just need to get wherever they need to go,
Absolutely.
and they need to have reliability. I heard somewhere, read somewhere that you guys did something kind of cool and special for some of the players and fans for the Masters.
Yeah.
Tell us about that. Or either one, whoever wants to lead that one off.
Steve, that we set a putting green in the actual jet. And I guess, when you're descending, it plays more like an uphill putt. But no,
Right.
no, for these guys that are taking long flights, either the Masters will dress the whole plane up in green and yellow, and just put all those special touches on it. We always stock it with their favorite beverages, food, might be some food that's local to the tournament they're going to. And we have on a number of occasions put a putting green.
Yeah, with that, and that was a Scotty Cameron we put on board as well. So we had
Wow.
we whatever the cost is, it wasn't really important. A $300 Scotty Cameron on there, but just to have it on board the putt was really cool with some branded Magellan Pro V1s. I always like to talk about the Kentucky Derby as well. We do a ton of flights
Oh yeah.
to Louisville during that time of the year. Mint juleps on board. Some cupcakes with the ponies on there, some of the flags strung across the Gulf Stream on the way. Disney is a great place for kids and families. We had even on our website, you can check it out, but was it Cinderella, right? Cinderella was there greeting our passengers when they got off the aircraft. I think we did another one with Spider-Man was there upon arrival, came on board the aircraft. We had luau stuff set up all over the plane, towels, sunscreen, amazing Magellan Revo sunglasses polarized on board. Coming back from the spa, they had like lavender warm towelettes on board with cucumber slices for the eyes. So we like to create really cool experience for
Yeah,
people, and sometimes it's at surprise. And a lot of them aren't tacky. Like, we really try to class it up. So we want to make people feel really comfortable and say, you know what, that was an amazing experience. It was thoughtful. And our this is a very key point. Our guests were impressed, and it made me feel, special that you guys thought of them. And a lot of our corporate flyers and in our recreational flyers, a lot of them are flying friends or family members. And if we can do something just a little bit more for them, it really goes a long way. And we get a call almost immediately. And it's the way that we made their guests feel was the most important factor of the trip.
Well, customer service, is extremely important with any organization, and going that extra mile is equally important. And I think that adding those little extra touches
absolutely.
does go a long way. And again, it's not just about, filling the orders and saying, okay, we're going to get these trips booked up and things like that, and then, thank you very much. You want the people, when they walk away from that, saying, wow, we had a great time at our destination, but it was a great experience getting to and from. We had no issues. And whenever, on occasion, when there may be an issue that comes up, these guys are on it right away, and that's huge. And that, again, it goes back to the safety first that we talked about earlier, and also the sort of small little touches sometimes, and sometimes big touches
Right.
that leave lasting memories. And that's what really it's all about. That's what life is all about, is the memories that we make, and how and what we can do for other people. And it sounds like you guys at Magellan have done that very, very well. And that's why you're attracting, not just the corporate types and stuff, but you're attracting, celebrities and tour players, and as I mentioned, some of the other major sports as well, WWE, MLB, and NBA, and so on and so forth, and that. But
So
yeah,
Steve and our other great aviation advisors are always listening when they're talking to customers, and you're picking up little things that they like, or their kids like, or kid's birthday, or something they enjoyed somewhere. And we have a whole guest experience team that he then coordinates with to do these little touches on the plane, and it really matters. But I'd say almost more important is that's when everything's going great. Where we really earn our keep, and where you really win that long-term loyalty, is when things aren't going so well. So there's a bad weather situation, someone has an injury, a player needs to get out of somewhere. They want to actually get their family there last minute because they are contending at the end. And it's in those moments when you create that magic and you make it happen is where you really win the loyalty.
And Ted, I did want to bring up something about just the overall size of our organization and what we're not trying to be. Some of the other major market players out there, and you guys know all the names, but 15,000 members, right?
yeah.
13,000 members. It's really impossible to service this type of clientele that we're looking to work with. So our boutique style firm is more of the family office wealth management style and feel of private aviation, and we're going to always stick true to that. And it's really important. So when something does not go the right way, you can call Magellan Jets right now. I know everyone who's working in there personally, but you can call. They will pick up the phone within 30 seconds, probably maximum. Um, you just can't do that with a lot of the other organizations. So it's hands-on, personable, and our flight services team and our guest services team, they like to know our customers, what they like, their preferences, their style of communications, their dog's name, their favorite ground transportation or driver's name, or how they like to be contacted, and things like that are really important. So this boutique style, really every journey is personal, is really important to Magellan, and it's not easy to replicate that.
Yeah, and I would agree. I think sometimes when organizations get too big,
Right.
Customers get lost in the weeds, and unfortunately, this is what's happened. In commercial flying, for the most part, you become another number, and obviously there's some that are prioritized, but for the most part, everybody's sort of in the same line, and you don't really feel that customer service and you don't feel that they're going that extra mile. In fact, sometimes they're not going any miles at all. So, that's where maybe the private jet might be a great alternative for a lot of people. Um, something else that I wanted to uh, get you to expand a little bit, Josh, is, you mentioned in the beginning, obviously we have sort of our, let's book and let's go to this trip, but then you have a jet card, and then you also have fractional ownership. So just for those that maybe aren't as familiar with some of that terminology, maybe you could explain what each sort of level does and what sort of access they get. I mean, I know you can't give it all. They can get that information from the site, and we'll give them that as we wrap up in a little bit, but maybe you can explain the differences and what's sort of involved with that.
I'm going to let Steve do that because he's the.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Josh, Ted. So let's start with on-demand charter.
Yep.
It's a one-off charter flight with no membership or long-term commitment whatsoever. So Ted, you call me next week or email me. You want to set up some time to speak, and let's talk through your mission. Hey, Steve, we're going from New York to Aspen for Christmas. We're going to have 8, our family, and we're looking for X aircraft. Have you flown before, Ted? No. Perfect. Well, here's some recommendations. I'm going to send all these details over to my sourcing team, procurement. We're going to identify a couple of options available. We're going to present those over to you. We'll hop on a call. We'll review them together, determine which aircraft works best, price, size, experience, and then you can choose. And then we can get you all set up and pay as a one-off flyer. Now, this progresses into our next product, which is our Jet Card program. And a lot of people actually start with an on-demand charter flight. Hey, you know what? Let me try this out first, see if I like it. Then we move into the Jet Card. How often are you flying? Oh, you do this 2, 3, 4, 5 times a year. So now we start determining how many hours that you fly, right? We're going from New York to Aspen and back, 4.5 there, 4 back. It's 9. Go to California once, round trip. That's 10. We're at 20, right? We're going down to Florida and back. We're at 25, right? We start determining how many hours you need in a 12, 18, 24-month window. And then we can determine which type of jet card and how many hours that you need. So we're going to sell you, Ted, one of our favorite jet cards is our 50-hour Challenger 300, 350 jet card. And you simply debit the hours as you fly. You have a fixed hourly rate associated with that, and that's a big point of the jet card, which is different than charter. But you have a fixed hourly rate with the jet card, so you know exactly how much you're going to pay times however many hours you're flying equals the cost of the trip, 24/7, 365. With as little as 24 hours notice, we guarantee the aircraft and pricing.
Wow.
That's jet card. That's special. And then our newest launch, this was actually a couple of weeks ago, and we're really happy to talk about it, is our Challenger 850 fractional product. This is for the flyer who is going to be flying about 50 to 60 hours a year. It's $1.2 million to get into, so you're actually purchasing the asset, a fraction of it. There are some tax benefits there as well, some bonus depreciation and things like that come into play. And then you're an owner of that aircraft. So you have guaranteed access with shorter call-out times. There's some preferred pricing, lower hourly rates associated with it. And it's a structured deal over 3 years. So that's for more of a structured flyer that there's a cost and tax benefits to it, as well as that the similarity of the aircraft is there as well, because you're buying this plane. You're flying the same aircraft every single time you fly. Whereas on-demand charter, going all the way back there's going to be different types of aircraft, different sizes, diamond stitched interior, brown, Pininfarina, LEDs with a different runner, soft leather, more tight Citation seats versus maybe a Bombardier Challenger series that's more wide, plush, things like that. So the fractional is a jet-specific product for people that know exactly what they want to fly on.
Right.
Some people want the flexibility. Steve, I don't know what I want. I want to see everything. And it's great. And that's great as a charter customer. I said, hey, let's start out with this mid-size jet. See how you like it. Ted, you know what? Next flight, let's check out the Challenger 300. It's one of our most commonly flown aircraft. How'd you like that? And something that we do, and people get upset, and then they really put a smile on it, is when we give you a complimentary upgrade to something larger. right? And then your wife says, "Hey, Ted, I never want to fly in anything smaller than that Challenger 300."
Be careful, Ted.
Yeah, there's a method to your madness.
So
Sometimes you never go back. So.
it's something that we do quite often. Hey, if there's a better positioned aircraft for the mission, we're going to put you on it. It's better for Magellan and it's better for the client as well. So
I'm just going to forewarn you. I'm editing that part out of this podcast.
okay, all right. So it's really special to do it. But hey, some people like varietal of aircraft, and guess what? A lot of these planes, you got to think of them like cars, right?
Sure.
Mercedes, BMW, or Lamborghini, or Ferrari. You have Textron, which makes the Citation series, right? We have
Right.
Bombardier, Gulfstream, Embraer. They all Pilatus. They all have a different feel, different type of performance factors. Whether it's the cabin pressure at altitude, the sound and noise canceling features of the headliner,
Sure.
the displays in the cabin, the circulation of the air inside the cabin as well. So there's a lot of factors, and through our different programs, which will help determine where you fit in, you get to experience different levels and different access to planes.
So you can have right up to the most luxurious to something that's a little bit more economic, to be honest. And that's good. I mean, I like that where you have a lot of choice. I want to ask you one quick follow-up on the jet card, just something I thought of, and I think I know the answer, but I want to get you an opportunity to explain this. So if let's say I get the 50 hour and, typically, let's say we've parceled out where I'm taking, you've put me in a jet that's, 4 people and, whatever. And let's say one of the trips that I'm going to do that year, I need to make some changes because you've already set the pricing and things like that. Maybe I need to upgrade in order. Maybe we're doing a family trip and there's going to be 15 of us now as opposed. And the way we've had it set out before wasn't going to meet that need. And it's not so much the hours, but it said, is there flexibility with the planes on that, but with that jet card? Like if I want to just do that one trip, how does that work?
Great.
Is there ways to sort of parcel that one out?
Yeah, that's a great question. We call it interchange in the industry.
Okay.
We offer surcharge free and unlimited interchange across all of our jet card programs. There's zero restriction to that, even on our peak or advanced booking travel days. The industry a lot calls them peak days, or blackout dates, or we don't have blackout dates, but we offer guaranteed and surcharge free interchange. If you want to scale down or scale up, we can talk. Our flight support team is great at this, right? So they will some new flyers, especially, they're not sure the capabilities, the range, or the seating capacity on some of these different types of aircraft. So when my flight support team actually receives these trips and they realize that, Ted, you're on the Challenger 300, but you just put a trip request in with 12 passengers.
You're right.
Hey, Ted, we'd recommend interchanging up to the G450 category. Guarantees at minimum 12 passengers, has a range of can go cross country nonstop, range of 8 to 10 hours of flight time. And we would recommend this. We just, adjust your billable hours to reflect the price. Carry on.
Yep.
Simple.
Okay. So there is the flexibility, and that's what I say, that's important because, again, when you're making decisions like this and you're sort of planning out your year, there's always going to be a little monkey wrench that comes into it or adjustments that have to be made. And it's good to know that you guys offer that flexibility because that's a big one as well, because as well as I do, when you get into commercial flights and something happens, you got to make changes. It's a nightmare.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We have some customers that own aircraft.
Sure.
And they still fly with us. We call it supplemental lift, but they still need us when they have different missions, right? They're flying their family. They're only flying 4 passengers. They're flying their friends or business partners. They need a larger plane. So actually a good base of our jet card owners are aircraft owners using us for supplemental lift when the trip is simply outside the means of their aircraft. And that provides extreme value to them. And it provides the benefits of aircraft ownership without owning the asset. And it's okay to, I say it all the time, it's okay to have a diversified aviation portfolio. And I hear some of these even some of the prospects I speak to on the phone, oh, thanks, Steve, we're all set. We own our own aircraft. Well, what do you do when your aircraft's down for maintenance?
Yeah.
Well, what do you do when you need a different size aircraft? And some of the other fractional providers out there don't actually allow their customers to fly after they use their said 50 hours. What do you
Yeah.
do? They buy a jet card with us to help supplement some of the other products. So, um, jet card's a great solution to that, with the flexibility of interchange with zero restriction.
Yeah. And it, to me, what I hear both of you saying is this is really an opportunity of pretty much anybody at any level that wants to take advantage of this opportunity to be able to fly, to go where they want to go, whether it's a family trip, whether it's a golf vacation, and avoid a lot of the typical issues that we get faced with nowadays flying commercially. And you guys have really, it sounds to me from what I'm hearing you say, is you guys have worked it out in such a way that it is very affordable for a lot of people. It's not just what we, again, what we used to hear about is it's strictly for the corporate CEOs or for the big, the big guys out there, that there's something there for me too. And it's just a matter of let's get the fit for me and get the most out of it. And I think that's important this day and age, because people want to feel that they can, come to a company like Magellan and say, okay, here's what my needs are. What can you do for me? And I think in the past, typically what we've heard is, well, we can't really accommodate you. You've got to be, a certain level, and you've got to do this, you got to do that. And right away that, puts out about, 2/3 of the population. So you guys have found a way. And I think you hit on it earlier, Steve, when you talked about um, really being more of a boutique style operation is, and it's not that you don't want to grow and you don't want to expand in other ways, but your main focus is safety first.
Right.
Let's handle what we've got and be able to do it in such a way that they feel like they matter to you.
Yep.
And that's a big plus, because that's something that you don't always see, not just in your industry, but in any industry.
Right.
You don't see a lot of today. So obviously you take a lot of pride in that as well. And I think that's important. Josh, I'm going to give you a chance, because I'm going to give Steve a chance to stop speaking. So I'm going to let you maybe wrap us up here a little bit. If there's anything that you want, what's the big, I guess the big misconception, number one, that people might have, and if you were, talking to a group of people that were sort of sitting on the fence,
Mhm.
what might that conversation entail?
Yeah, I think again, while we're trying to make it more accessible to people, it's still expensive
Sure.
to fly, even sometimes on commercial, right?
Yeah.
So, what I would say is, what is the experience that you want? And the one thing people cannot buy is time. And
Mhm.
I think one of the greatest benefits of private aviation is just the convenience and the time savings, and just especially with their family and friends, that's so important, and even for PGA players as well. So it really depends on, as Steve's talked about, what is your mission? What are you trying to accomplish? What's the purpose of your trip? Is it a special occasion? And then we will jump through hoops to kind of make that memorable and as convenient free and obviously unbelievably safe as we can.
And you guys also have a lot of other partners that work with you as well. You touched on that at the very beginning, where you're looking at to bring it in more of a concierge
Absolutely.
type setup, where it's sort of a one-stop shop. It's not just the flying and that, but there's other things. But you guys also have partnered with some folks for rental cars and things like that at the other end. Maybe you can touch on some of the extras that people can expect
So
working with
we
you
can
guys.
do a full catering spread, obviously, on the plane with the beverages of your choice. Again, it's really depends on the size of the aircraft to what extent we can do the food. If it's a larger aircraft, with flight attendant,
Sure.
we can do a really nice plated meal. We do car service, either rental cars, where we have luxury rental cars waiting for the people right when they pull up. The cars by the side of the plane, and they just jump out, throw their golf clubs in it, and they're off. We can do hotel reservations, dinner reservations. We've flown people into LA that landed and then got in a helicopter to go down to San Diego to have dinner and then fly back. So we can fly, we can pretty much do anything around getting you from A to B.
What about and forgive me if Steve, you may have already answered this, but once I've set up whatever it is I'm going to do and I get at my destination, is do I have somebody, is there a team sort of appointed to me? Like if I run into an issue, do I contact, I'm just saying for argument's sake, let's say it was you as the person, is there sort of an individual or a team that I'm sort of assigned to, that if I run into an issue or if I have questions or concerns or something didn't show up when it was supposed to, how do I, do I just call the 800 number and I get put into the appropriate person, or is there somebody that's assigned to me? And
Yeah,
I'm going to give that to you.
I'll talk on that. So we have our flight operations team and
Mhm.
our client experience team. So determining, where that fits. If it's a catering issue, it's going to be with our client experience team. If it's an ATC delay or a operational issue, it's going to go to flight operations. So we will figure that out before you do most of the time, and we will give you a heads
Sure.
up. So the day before, if there's an issue or there's a weather issue that we need to talk about, we're going to call, email, text. We will let the crew know if there's something special that needs to be at the airport upon your arrival, or a change in ground transportation when you're en route to Aspen and all of a sudden there's an ATC issue or weather issue and we're going to divert to Rifle. The crew will let us know when that's happening. We will have an SUV waiting for you at Rifle when you guys land because of the diversion to bring you back to Aspen to your house. So things like that. But we have a full client experience team that handles all the special experience pieces, and then our flight operations center that handles all of those logistics and things of sort. And you can call directly into our Magellan Jets number. And you can also reach us on our amazing app that it's new and revamped. It's very special. So you can communicate directly to them through the app as well. And our aviation consultants are always available. You text and call. And it's something special. We stay online with our customers during the flights. And you don't actually, when you fly with us, as you're one of my customers, Ted, we don't pass you off to an account rep. You actually stay
Right.
specifically with the aviation consultant I've had some of my customers for 11 years and I'm still working with them on a daily, weekly, flight by flight basis. So it's pretty special. So you can always reach us, and we take a lot of pride in that.
And that's really what I was getting at is, that's important as well, because there's nothing worse, you're developing relationships, and then all of a sudden the next day is, well, we're passing you off to so and so. Bob's not, handling your account anymore or something. And sometimes I'm sure that can happen
Yeah.
if for whatever
Right.
reason, companies have to make changes, but when it starts to happen too many times, then it gets a little bit worrisome, because then you're thinking that's why I say when you're dealing with this level of type of service, you want to make sure and you want to feel like, as I said, you're not just another number. And it sounds like you guys have got a great setup there in that. Josh, any final thoughts? And then let's give them the website so they can go and start
Sure.
getting ready for their trip.
I think what most of our customers would tell us, obviously there's the convenience and the safety aspect of it, but the actual trip and the fun part of the trip starts when you get on the plane. It's just such an incredible experience between the service and the catering and the arrangement of the ground transportation. So again, if you got an opportunity and you're interested in flying from point A to point B or in a jet card, it's MagellanJets.com. We've got Steve's one of our senior guys. He's been doing this for a long time, and he can tell you how to get into any airport, what the right aircraft is, and give you some great advice. And we have 20 guys like Steve that are waiting there to help you. So
Sounds good. And Steve, any final thoughts that you want to?
Yeah, our marketing team does an amazing job, and we produce a lot of content, especially a lot of white papers and blog posts and informational pieces. So if someone there's a lot of people that are nervous or don't want to feel like they can't afford it or something like that. Go to our website, read some of the white papers, download the white papers, go and build a card, submit a trip request, gives you instant pricing, which is very accurate. So you can go on
Right.
there and browse some flights to make sure that this is in line with what you guys are looking to do. So I just urge people to go to the website, educate yourself, and if you actually have some more questions, fill out one of the forms or call directly in. As everyone's staff is all the time, and we're happy to take calls, answer questions, educate people, and love being an aviation resource to really anybody. kid doing a high school project wants to learn about aviation, we're happy to talk to them. And I enjoy getting those guys and talking to them on the phone as well.
Well, it's definitely very apparent that you guys both love what you do, and it's certainly. I think you when you enjoy what you do for a living, and especially when you have the opportunity to help other people have a great experience. Obviously your service is your vessel that you're using to provide that. Then it really it doesn't feel like a job any longer. It just feels like you're part of one big family, and I think that's something that obviously Magellan Jets has strived to become in their company, and that's a testament to not only the people that work there, but also the ownership and leadership as well. So, well, thank you guys very much. I appreciate it. It's been interesting, and I think I'll leave that part in there just in case. You never know, because I don't want to make a mess and edit any good stuff out. But I want to thank my very special guests, Josh Lesnick and Steve Ciancio from Magellan Jets. Hopefully I got that correct. Thank you guys. And again, go to MagellanJets.com if you want to get more information, or if you want to reach out and have a conversation with them to learn more about how you can book your own flight through them, or become one of the Jet Card recipients. Lots of great stuff there, and they can help you work through that as well. Also, a special thanks to my earlier guest, Clint Wright, for joining me on the Coaches Corner panel. It's always a pleasure, and I appreciate you coming on and giving us your thoughts on how help golfers become better out from tee to green. On that note, I want to thank you all for tuning in this week. Be sure to go to our YouTube channel, iGolf Sports, and subscribe to the channel and check out all of the previously aired shows. Tonight's will be up there shortly, so you can check it out as well. But thank you for joining me. God bless everybody. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you right here next time on Golf Talk Live.
Thanks for joining us. We hope you enjoyed this week's broadcast of Golf Talk Live. We'd like to thank this week's Coaches Corner panel, and a special thank you to tonight's guest. Remember to join Ted every Thursday from 6 to 8 p.m. Central on Golf Talk Live. And be sure to follow Ted on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you're interested in being a guest on Golf Talk Live, send Ted an email at ted.golftalklive@gmail.com. This has been a production of the iGolf Sports Network.